Why do we sit here being silent, watching our leaders turn into tyrants? Have they forgotten which side they're fighting for? Checks and balances set aside and rule of laws, youth and ours, and Constitution openly ignored. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Is it time for right and left to join a greater cause? Man, I'm not okay. The rich claim to be victimized just to attack the marginalized. Is 1% really worth more than all the sick and poor? Always preaching about fellowship while planning their dictatorship. Now we've seen how all of this plays out before. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call. Man, I'm not okay. Ever wonder all the mystery? Why they whitewash our history? Keep dividing is their plan. All in all, such a scam. Algorithm very sly, only used to spread the lies. Politicians know well, hate is simple to upsell. Man, I'm not okay. Think we are being played. Time for you and I to join our country's call.
We are not okay. America is not okay, and we all know that. Former Congressman Joe Walsh, this is The Social Contract with Joe Walsh. Let's figure out how to get okay together. Cut to the chase. Let me adjust my picture a tad there. Cut to the chase. This country, America, is becoming less white by the day. That's been happening now for years. America is less white every single day. And this demographic change has been happening for a long, long time. America is less Christian every single day. And that change has been happening for a long, long time. When you cut to the chase and you try to look at what Trump/Trumpism is, Trump/Trumpism is like the last dying gasp of white America to cling to hang on to a white America, a white Christian America. Man, that's the truth. That's the truth. And I don't mean to demean people. I don't mean to demean folks. These are my former friends, my former voters, my former supporters, right? On the right, Republicans, conservatives. This is a big part of what has motivated them now for so long. This country they love. This country they know of. It's becoming less white by the day. And white people in America, white Americans, will no longer be a majority in a number of years. And that scares people. That concerns people. That angers people. And Donald Trump masterfully has tapped into that fear, that concern, that anger. And he's inflamed it. And he's all about making that fear, that concern, that anger grow, that white anger, that white fear, that white concern. Trump picks at that every day. Trump picks at those fears every day. And he tells his voters, his supporters, to be afraid. Make America great again. I mean, what the fuck is the entire expression "make America great again" based on? Make America that God-loving white Christian country that it always was. That's what that's what "make America great again" is and has always been. And I'm not some Democrat. I'm not some lefty. I'm not some progressive saying this. I know of what I speak. I come from the right. I come from Fox News. I come from right-wing media. This is part of what I used to do. Not to the level that Trump did it, not to the level that most of those Fox News talkers do it. All of my former right-wing radio colleagues, the way that they would pick at these fears and concerns that white America has. The country they love is changing every freaking hour. And my right-wing colleagues in radio and TV, man, they were brilliant at picking at those fears and amplifying those fears and trying to make those fears and that anger grow. I did some of that back in the day as well. I know of what I speak. I just think it's pointless to beat around the bush. When you watch or you observe the battle last night over, follow me, the Super Bowl halftime show, and you're trying to figure out what's really going on. This dude named Bad Bunny, right? He puts on a show in Spanish only, a really cool show, a beautiful show, a unifying show. And in so many ways, it was just an absolutely gorgeous show, but it's in Spanish only. And he's got a bunch of Latino performers up there with him, and he's flying the flags of other countries in our hemisphere, foreign flags. And the show is in Spanish only, and you're trying to figure out why are so many Americans worked up about this? Why did MAGA, Trumpism, have to have an alternative halftime show? Because they didn't want anything to do with Bad Bunny. So they had Kid Rock, 90-year-old Kid Rock out there doing his alternate halftime show. Real America, they told us. When you try to figure out the reaction to Bad Bunny last night, I'm not going to say half the country, but a large chunk of the country, Donald Trump's base, all of MAGA. And I want to remind everybody that MAGA is no longer a fringe piece of the Republican Party. I want to remind everybody, we've only got two political parties in this country, and one of our two political parties in this country is full-on MAGA. It's a full-on Trumpism MAGA party. That is the Republican Party, and the Republican Party ain't going back to what it might have been before Trump and MAGA. When you think about that, a big chunk of America, primarily white America, objecting to, outraged by a guy named Bad Bunny. What's going on? I think Trump nailed it. What did Trump say? Trump put out his statement. Keith, do we have a copy of Trump's statement? Trump put out his statement on Bad Bunny's halftime show last night, and it was this line he said, the Super Bowl halftime show sucks, blah, 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 it makes no sense, blah, 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 blah. What did he say? What did he say? He said something like, oh, where is it? This is absolutely terrible, one of the worst ever, it makes no sense. Nobody, here it is. Nobody understands a word this guy is saying. Boom, right there. That was Trump last night responding to Bad Bunny's halftime show. I can't understand a word he's saying. Thanks, Keith. That's it. This ain't a white guy. And so many people who object to Bad Bunny don't believe he's an American. He's an American citizen. But I can't understand a word he's saying. He's not speaking English. He's not a white guy. He's a stranger. That's not American. It always comes back to this. That's what this is. White America. Their lives have been changing in a nanosecond. The country has been changing in a nanosecond. And primarily the country's becoming less white every single day. And so we got to lash out and we got to stop it. And Bad Bunny represents what this country's becoming. Can you believe, Joe? I had a Trump supporter tell me last night, a whole freaking halftime show, not in English? Not in English, Joe? This is how Trumpism breathes. Trump himself is an idiot. He's a bigot. He's a racist. He's a jerk. He's an ignoramus. He's an idiot. He's all of it. But Donald Trump himself doesn't have like some core white Christian ideology. Not a Christian nationalist. Donald Trump ain't a Christian nationalist. He's not a white Christian nationalist. Donald Trump is a vehicle for white Christian nationalism. Trump has no philosophy, no core beyond Donald Trump. All he cares about, all he lives for, all he breathes for is Donald Trump. But Trumpism / MAGA breathes on hate and fear and division. Donald Trump is white Christian America's last gasp. I don't know how long the last gasp will last. But that's what Trump represents. That's what Trumpism is. Again, I come from the right. This was my former base. I still engage with these folks every day, and I've been doing it for years. And the things I tell you about what they believe are things they tell me. And last night, they saw a Latino dude out there performing in Spanish language only. And man, that just set them off because that is the antithesis of white America. And that's what it is. The hanging on to white America. It's a big part of it. It's a big part of it. It's not all of it. And so many people on the left think it's all of what Trumpism and MAGA is. So many people on the left think that every Trump supporter is a racist and a bigot. And that's just so fucked up and wrong. So wrong. Most of these people are good people clinging onto something that they don't understand. And so they're led by fear. And what they saw last night in the halftime show scared the fuck out of them. And what did Trump do? And what did all the right-wing talkers do? They, again, right, this is what they do. They amplified those fears. They knew their base was afraid, so they stuck them. They took sharp objects and they kept poking their supporters, their voters, their audience last night. Those fears. Yeah, look at this. Man, this is weird. This isn't America. You got a bunch of illegal. You see that, Joe? I had a number of Trump supporters tell me last night, bet a bunch of illegal immigrants, Joe, were performing at that halftime show. Boom, ba boom, ba boom. And so they needed their own alternative. Think about that. Their own alternative halftime show with some ancient white performer, Kid Rock, who I didn't watch, from what I heard, couldn't even lip sync to his old songs. So what does it mean? Let me tell you something. As someone who comes from the right and engaged in these culture wars on the right, and I did, and I've apologized now for years for doing it. America, the right, needs these culture wars. The right lives off of these culture wars. Man, the right breathes on these culture wars, man. Last night, man, what happened last night, this thing called Bad Bunny, man, that'll keep the right alive and screaming and breathing for weeks until the next culture war, big brouhaha hits. The right lives off of these culture wars. Leading voices and thinkers and talkers on the right feed these culture wars. And Donald Trump, like all great demagogues, he would wither away and die if he couldn't lead with hate and fear and division. So he does what he does. I actually, again, I thought Bad Bunny's halftime show was pretty darn cool. One other reaction, though, to this is the reaction from all of us. Like, we can't even as a country just fucking enjoy a Super Bowl. Something as benign and trivial as a football game and a halftime show at a football game. No, fuck it. With where America's at today, that's got to be a political fight. The halftime show has to be a political fight. Can't just sit back and be entertained. Can't just sit back and say, you know what, for a day, I'm keeping politics out of it. I'm just going to enjoy a fucking football game. I swear the Super Bowl ought to bring back cheerleaders. Just have cheerleaders and marching bands entertain at halftime. The NFL will never do that because the NFL figured out that you can make a shitload of money with the halftime shows. So we ain't never going back to that day. But man, we're so divided now as a nation that we can't have one halftime show anymore. There's got to be an alternative halftime show. And we all can't just say, let's just fuck it, be quiet. Let's just be entertained by what's on the boob tube, by what's on the TV. Let's just enjoy the football, the commercials, The Super Bowl commercials and the halftime show. Let's just be entertained. Can't do that anymore. We got to be outraged. We got to have our politics validated. And as bad as the right was about Bad Bunny last night, look, I thought Bad Bunny was pretty cool. I thought it was a really cool halftime show. But so many people on the left almost venerating what Bad Bunny did and what he was, saying this is the greatest Super Bowl halftime show ever. I mean, almost lionizing Bad Bunny. It's not as bad as what the right did, but it's not good. Lionize the guy? I mean, put him up on a pedestal as this is the greatest 13 minutes of entertainment I have ever seen in my freaking life. You do that because you're trying to validate your politics too, those of you on the left. You can't just be entertained by Bad Bunny and say that was a damn good show. No, you have to say, oh my God, that's America. Only in Spanish only? Man, unbelievable. Never seen anything like it. Greatest thing in the world. No. It's a hell of a halftime show. But everything has to validate what we believe politically. Everything has to be political. Like I said a moment ago, we can't just be entertained. Everything's got to be partisan and political. A good dear friend of mine said, no, Joe, politics is our entertainment now. That's the point, Joe. Politics is our form of entertainment. Man, that's bad. That's pathetic. If we're so divided politically as a country that politics now has become our entertainment, not music, not movies, not the theater, not books, not comedy, not political fighting. That's our entertainment. Man, if that's the case, then we're really cooked as a people. Politics, fighting about politics should never be our chief source of entertainment. Outrage. Outrage. We, too many of us, feast on outrage. The right more than the left in this country. Hey, one other quick top note on division in this country. Keith, do you have that headline on Trump and the National Governors Association? Thanks, man. I'll say it again. We're divided as a nation. Keep that up for a second, Keith. We are dangerously divided as a country, one. Two, Donald Trump did not create the divide. He's the ugly product of the divide. But Donald Trump, three, is the most divisive political figure in this country. He's been the most divisive political figure in this country from the moment he walked on the stage and began running for president back in 2015. He is probably the most divisive political figure in American history. All three of those things, by the way, can be true, right? We are dangerously divided as a country. Trump didn't create the divide, but Donald Trump is the most divisive figure in American history. We're talking about a guy who said, I'm only going to provide disaster relief to red cities and red states. Screw you, blue cities and blue states. We're talking about a guy who, on the night that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, stood in front of the country and said, half of you killed him. Every leftist killed him. Every Democrat killed him. Donald Trump is the most divisive. Man, he's probably one of the most divisive human beings who's ever lived. And get this, little things like this. Every year, All the governors in America convene on Washington, D.C. for their annual summit in Washington, D.C. And as part of the Governors Association, the National Governors Association Summit, they all have a meeting with the president. All 50 governors meet with the president as part of the National Governors Association DC Summit. It's been going on forever and ever and ever and ever. Look what Trump's doing. He's disinvited all the Democratic governors to the White House meeting with him. He's invited only Republican governors. For the first time in the history of the National Governors Association, he's made this event partisan. He's invited only the Republican governors to sit with him and have a meeting with him. What a divisive prick he is. Pardon my language. The examples are endless, and this may not be a big one to you, but it's an example, and it matters because every day he does shit like this. The only president to do it, thanks, Keith, breaking that tradition, the National Governors Association. My God, 4 or 5 days ago, right? 4 or 5 days ago, Trump stood in front of Democrats and Republicans and independents at the National Prayer Breakfast. And Donald Trump, the most divisive political figure in American history, stood in front of everybody at the National Prayer Breakfast and said, if you're a Democrat, you can't be a person of faith. He said it. He said it. Horrific. What a divisive prick he is. And now he disinvites Democratic governors to meet with him. Donald Trump could not exist without hate and division. It's his secret sauce. It's, again, like all good Democrats, it's why he's succeeded. His entire political messaging is based on hate, fear, and division. Examples big and small. By the way, there's also a National Governors Association dinner later on that evening at the White House. And he's disinvited 2 Democratic governors from the dinner, Westmore, Maryland, and Geropolis in Colorado, because they've stood up to Trump on things that have made Donald Trump really angry. You know what would be cool? What would be great is if, how about this? All you Republican governors, don't go to the White House meeting with Trump, the governors meeting with Trump, unless Trump invites the Democratic governors. And don't anybody go to the White House dinner unless he invites every single governor to the White House dinner. Now, that would be a courageous thing to do. That would be a unifying thing to do, right? So anybody who lives in a state with a Republican governor, send your Republican governor an email. Tell your Republican governor, how dare Donald Trump disinvite Democratic governors to meet with him to the White House meeting. Do not go, Governor. Do not go, Governor DeSantis. Do not go, Governor Abbott down in Texas. Do not go to the National Governors Association meeting with Trump unless he invites all 50 governors. How about you do that if you live in a state with a Republican governor? Final thought this morning. Trump said he's going to go after the worst of the worst. Trump said he is going to, deport all those gang members in this country illegally, all the violent criminals in this country illegally. That's who he's going to go after, Trump said, man. The worst of the worst. Remember him saying that at campaign stop after campaign stop? Well, a year into his arrests and deportations, he ain't going after the worst of the worst. And this isn't a surprise because his masked federal agents, right, have been in Home Depot parking lots and 7-Eleven parking lots and daycare centers and hospitals and parks and ball fields, just detaining and arresting anybody. Well, CBS News got a hold of internal Department of Homeland Security documents. And in 2025, this is the most exhaustive study of who ICE has been arresting. And in 2025, about 400,000 immigrants were arrested per DHS data. And lo and behold, of the almost 400,000 immigrants that ICE arrested in this country in 2025, almost 50% have no criminal record. None. Almost 50% of the people in America ICE has arrested. And get this, of the people that have criminal records that ICE has arrested, about 13% are people who've been accused of or convicted of violent crimes. So after all of this, and this is all DHS data, CBS News put this out this morning in exhaustive detail. After a year, 400,000 some people ICE arrested, 13% of those have been accused or convicted of violent crimes. Almost 50% of the people ICE has arrested have no criminal records. Of those, almost 50%, 40% were arrested for civil immigration violations. And a lot of those people who had criminal records, again, remember, only 13% of the people ICE arrested in America had violent criminal records. The rest that had criminal records, most of them were arrested because of immigration related crimes. Or they were arrested because they interfered with ICE operations, drug crimes, DUIs. But the vast majority of the 40% or so that had criminal records, the vast majority did not have violent criminal records. And in fact, this jumped out at me. ICE arrests of people with criminal records in 2025 actually went down from the 2024 numbers. Like Joe Biden, in the last year Biden was president, according to Department of Homeland Security data, in the last year that Joe Biden was president, 72% of the people ICE arrested under Biden had criminal records. That number went down in 2025 when Trump was president to less than 50%. So Donald Trump's ICE actually arrested many, many fewer people who had criminal records. Trump's ICE arrested many fewer people, from 72% to less than 50%, who had criminal records. And then the flip side, obviously, is true. What we call administrative arrests, people that ICE arrests who do not have criminal records, they're arrested for administrative issues or civil issues. That number under Trump tripled in 2025 compared to 2024. Takeaway: Donald Trump has not been going after and arresting and detaining the worst of the worst. No, Joe Biden did that. Joe Biden did better than Trump did with that. Donald Trump clearly has been detaining and arresting immigrants in this country who do not have a criminal record at all. That number tripled from 25 to 24 when Biden was president. Now, you may say, listening to me right now as I close, that, Joe, I don't care. I want them all out. I want them all out. Get everybody who's not in this country legally out. By the way, we're not even getting in yet to people in this country legally who Trump has been detaining, deporting, and arresting. But I get it. You just want to get anybody in this country illegally out of here. Then say that, because Trump has never from day one been going after the worst of the worst. Most of the people that Trump's ICE is arresting have no criminal record. Per DHS data, check out CBS News, an exhaustive study they did with DHS data. That's all for now. Thanks for listening this Monday. I hope you're going to have a good week. Check out Paxos.app. There it is right there. Paxos.app, our one-stop shop, know your rights app for immigrants and citizens in this country to lawfully fight back against ICE. We're crowdfunding this app. The app's going to be out there soon, and we're trying to get it into the hands of the people who need it. Help us. Contribute what you can. $5, $500. Go to Paxos.app. Check it out. My Substack, guys, Social Contract with Joe Walsh.substack.com. That is my Substack. Everything I do, think, see, write, feel, everything I put on that Substack. Become a paid subscriber if you are interested. It would really help. And finally, you want to shoot me an email about anything, please do. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. All one word. The Social Contract with Joe Walsh at gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Let's make it a good week. Be brave.
Thank you for listening. Remember to listen, follow, and share The Social Contract with Joe Walsh on Apple, Spotify. Plus, don't forget to subscribe to The Social Contract on Substack. This has been The Social Contract with Joe Walsh.